But at the end of the day, it is like I said, put the fight on.
Hey, Wack, hey, yo, hey, this shit easy, nigga. Hey, all I'm talking about, nigga, I'm still out here trying to get it.
Contender Regime Boxing, checking back in with y'all, man. What's good? So I want to talk about Abdullah Mason's performance versus Sam Noakes. I know I did the short on it, and that was my immediate post-fight reaction, but I just want to go a little bit more in depth as far as his performance and the perception from the public of his performance. So all in all, it was a winning performance. Of course, he got the dub. A competitive fight, a much more competitive fight than I thought it would be. Not to discount Sam Noakes, but the little that I knew about Sam Noakes, of course, going into the fight, I know he was, had good power. He was a flat-footed, sturdy guy that liked to get on the inside, make it muddy, throw big lefts and rights. And he's a tough and strong guy. He was undefeated, right? So he had a winning attitude. So I knew that the fight, I knew that Sam Noakes would come there to at least try to win. I just didn't think the fight was going to have the character that it turned out to have. And I think most of that was due to Abdullah Mason. I think you got to give Sam Noakes some credit too. I think he forced a little bit of that, and he took advantage of some of the immaturity of Abdullah Mason because he's 21 years old. He's still growing. He's still learning how to control fights and control his opponents to create the type of stylistic matchup that he wants that's more advantageous to him than it is to his opponent. You see all of the skill, like all of the talent, the ability, the skill, all of that jump off the film, right? But he's still a 21-year-old kid that's just now reaching a championship level, and he's going to have a lot more room to grow as he continues to progress in his career. So I think Sam Noakes, being a more mature fighter, took advantage of this young kid that just want to fight. And so give Sam Noakes some credit, right? And so with Abdullah Mason, man, it was like I said, it was a really good fight. Action-packed through and through. To me, the most action-packed and competitive fight the whole night. Abdullah Mason went in there, and from the first bell to the end, he wanted to let his hands go and throw punches in bunches, throwing hard shots, looking for the big shots. I felt like he could have used his jab more to set things up. I felt like he could have used his jab more to maintain a level of distance so he didn't have to fight Sam Noakes' fight in close quarters like that, exposing himself to some of those big shots that were landing, and he did take those well. There were spots where it looked like Abdullah Mason got shook up by a couple of the shots. Of course, we seen him get dropped before twice in the fight. But in this fight, I'd never seen him hurt or anything. It just looked like, a couple of them, rocked him a little bit. And when I say rock, I ain't talking about like threw his equilibrium off or had him like out on his feet or nothing. I'm talking about just, maybe shook his balance a little bit, or where he felt that shit, where he was like, okay, yeah, this motherfucker can throw. So there were a couple of those shots, but Abdullah Mason, he stepped forward, and like he says, he has an appetite for smoke. That's the type of energy that he brought throughout that fight. I thought that from the southpaw stance, the left uppercut, when he led with it and when he countered with it, it was good. I thought he could have used that more on top of using the jab to set things up and create that distance. I felt like he could have had Sam Noakes at the end of that left uppercut better if he would have maintained certain distance. Sometimes his shots got smothered. He did a good job of posting on the inside to create space in close quarters. I really like Abdullah Mason's inside game. He's able to, and I think he's going to continue to get sharper and better with fighting on the inside and being able to do it without taking shots like that. right? And as boxing, you gonna get hit, but of course, there's some things that he can sharpen up on. But I did like the uppercut. I wanted to see that more, but more from range, right? Like mid range, and then working your way inside instead of just, having it smothered a lot of times. I felt like he could have had some check right hooks that was working. He did throw those, but I felt like he could have used that more, but those would have been more effective had he maintained distance and made Sam Noakes run into check right hooks. He could have led with those. He could have countered with those. You know what I'm saying? He could have threw him off of the jab. You know what I'm saying? I just felt like Abdullah Mason could have had a more balanced performance and a more balanced offensive attack as opposed to just being go, 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 go. He could have definitely rationed out the activity, right? And still gave us an action-packed fight. Like he still could have gave us a fun, entertaining, action-packed performance, but more methodical, as opposed to just being just go, 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 go. But also, like I said in that short, I think that type of performance, that type of fight for your very first world title, it builds character. Because number one, you got to think about it like this, man. I saw a video after he won the world title. He took the belt home back to his people, and the family, the people, they surrounding him, admiring this title. He took the title back to his city, to his people, to his family. And you got to think about that, man. Like, when you get into this position, you got to expect a hard-fought type of situation. You got to expect that type of energy. I feel like he went into the fight expecting this type of fight. So in his mind, he already made his mind up. It's finna be smoke. I'm going in for the gusto. It's finna be smoke. And then you got to look at it from Sam Noakes' perspective. Even though we didn't know a whole lot about this guy, look at it like this, man. These dudes, a lot of these dudes, man, the championship level is a real thing. Now, sure, there are some fighters that get a belt where they shouldn't even be champions, right? There's politics on the back end where a guy just randomly appears in the top 3 rankings and now out of nowhere he's up for a belt. That happens. There's politics. There's maneuvering that goes on, but that's on the lesser end of the spectrum, right? Largely, the guys that get to the championship level, they earned that shit. They did something to get to that level. That's why I really don't. I know I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but I hate how a lot of these new age fans like to discredit the value or try to devalue what it means to be a champion and belts and legacy, and try to talk about just the money aspect of it when they all try to point to Floyd Mayweather, but Floyd Mayweather was pretty boy and he was money Mayweather, right? The dude, when you look at, Floyd will tell you firsthand, I'm a prize fighter, I fight for the cash, but go look at his trophy case. Ain't nothing but belts in there, right? And if you look at him going on the longest streak of fighting the most champions, he still got a record for that. So the man was fighting champions, and these guys that get to the championship level, you got to think, a lot of these dudes, man, Sam Noakes, he probably ain't never been good at nothing in his life. You gotta think about, he probably had a grandma. You know what I'm saying? And the last thing, his grandma older, she probably, probably not gonna be here on this earth for a very long time after this. The last thing he could have promised her, I'm gonna bring back a world title, right? Dude probably ain't never been good at nothing else in his life but fighting. So going through his life, he gets to this, he dedicated his whole life to boxing, and now you get to this championship level. This shit means something. Right, so we might not know who this guy is, but he earned his spot to get into this championship position. And so when he get in the ring with Abdullah Mason, man, he finna lay it all on the line. You feel what I'm saying? He finna lay it all on the line, bro, not trying to go for nothing. That's the majority of the situations when you see a guy reach the championship level. It ain't always just just a random dude getting a belt. Even if you don't know these dudes' name, bro, they don't work their ass off to get to this position, and you never know who they promised back home. I'm gonna bring back a title so everybody can be surrounded, admiring the belt like how Abdullah Mason people were. You know what I'm saying? So Sam Noakes made it tough, and for a guy like Abdullah Mason, I think shit, he in the ring. Once he get in that smoke, it's like shit, he feel that energy. He feel that this dude ain't finna go easy, so he wanna get into the smoke with him. But that's him being young too, because as he gets older, he's gonna learn that I can make some of these fights I can make easier if I take a different approach, if I use a different strategy. One thing I want to touch on as well is that, you know, it's crazy how a lot of fighters, particularly Black American fighters, if a guy, the Black American fighter is held to such a high standard, is crazy. Because on one hand, if he's more defensive, like a Shakur Stevenson or like a Devin Haney, like a Floyd Mayweather, they say he's a runner, right? But he's winning fights. He's playing great defense. He's not getting hit, right? And he's being extremely successful and efficient with his boxing, his punch output, his defense. Everything is clicking. He's working. He may not be giving you the most entertaining fights, but he's winning. Then you will get a guy like a Jerome Boots Ennis or an Abdullah Mason. They, you know, same thing about Terrence Crawford at points where, you know, he would like to engage more. Now, of course, Terrence has continued to be more polished as his career went on, right? That's experience, that's skill, that's, you know, that's greatness, that's GOAT level. But you got these guys that are more entertaining that they get criticized for having more offense and being more willing to trade and throw punches and get in the fire with you. And a lot of times that work to their benefit. Sometimes it don't. But I definitely think that there's a balance. And Abdullah Mason may not ever reach the level of a Terrence Crawford where he can give you the perfect balance of offense and defense, right? And dominate great fighters with that style where it's just a perfect balance. We can't compare every skillful and talented fighter to the greats and the GOATs. We can't do that because it's not realistic. You got to let these guys develop to see if they going to reach that level. You know what I'm saying? Abdullah Mason very well might be a guy where in order for him to be extremely effective, he might have to give you a whole lot of offense. If he try to give you that perfect balance of offense and defense, it might not, he might be out of his game. I'm not saying that's the case, but it's possible. I've seen it before. Some guys are more heavily offensive fighters. Some guys are more heavily defensive fighters. For a guy like Shakur Stevenson, if he decided to just try to be Abdullah Mason and give you heavy offense, he might get knocked out. He might get caught with something. That's not how he fight. So we gotta be realistic when judging and critiquing and evaluating these fighters, right? So sure, there's gonna be growing pains and there's gonna be progressions and different levels of Abdullah Mason as he continues to mature as a fighter. We're gonna see different phases and different layers being peeled back of his game as he have different fights versus different styles, different caliber of fighters, right? Different moments, different unifications, where he traveling to somebody's hometown or fighting overseas, like he just did. You know what I'm saying? Fighting in his hometown, because that's a lot of pressure too. You're gonna see different moments that bring things out of a fighter. But I just want to say, like, I find it crazy how, like, I critique Abdullah Mason and I say he could have made that fight easier. But I'm not going to discredit his ability and his performance or try to like discount him because he got hit a few times. Because he got hit more than I would like to see. That is his style right now. And we can't expect every fighter to have that perfect balance of offense and defense. he may very well get to that level. He got the ability. I see it, right? He might get to that level, but we got to let it play out. You know what I'm saying? Let it play out. See what type of fighter he develops and grows into. You know what I'm saying? But I just thought that was interesting, man, because a lot of people, man, they like, you know, Abdullah, he was fun to watch, but, man, he get hit too much. He really ain't, he ain't what I thought he was. And I'm like, bruh, he's still a fantastic fighter, and you just got to take it for what it is. You want him, if he would have went out there and been extremely defensive, people would have called him boring. Now, if he would have tried to fight now, I felt like he could have had a balanced performance. And I think in his next fight, you probably going to see that. You probably going to see now he's a champion. Now he got more to lose. You probably going to see him pace himself a little bit more. And that's what I want to see. I want to see if he can show a different element and dimension to his game. Give us a heavy jab and box off of that. And if the knockout comes, take it. Don't chase it. You feel what I'm saying? I think he's capable of doing that. But it may not look how you expect it to look. He still may get caught with some shots because he would have to lean towards his offense probably more than a guy like a Shakur Stevenson, because that's just his game. I don't really think you're going to see Abdullah Mason just boxing off the back foot all the time like that. The man say he got an appetite for smoke. That's how he fight. You feel what I'm saying? So, all in all, man, I think it was a really good first world title win. And I expect him to continue to develop. I think he's going to be sharper. I think he's a very intelligent fighter. And he got a great team around him, a fighting family, got the right people in his corner, man. I think he's going to continue to do incredible things, man. But y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments. Overall, how did y'all feel about Abdullah Mason's performance? And with him now being a champion and in the top 10 of the lightweight rankings, you have Shakur Stevenson still with a title. You have Gervonta Tank Davis with a title. And the lightweight division is going to be looking interesting with Abdullah Mason being at the, in the top with those guys, man. So y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Contender regime boxing. I'll holler at y'all boys, man.